You felt it last night. The clarity, the drive, the plan that actually made sense. You told yourself this time was different. Then morning came, and the feeling was gone. And now you're sitting there wondering what's wrong with you. Why you can't hold on to something that felt so real just hours ago. Nothing is wrong with you. But something specific is happening in your brain that no one has explained to you clearly. That's what this video is about. What's actually happening? When you imagine doing something, starting the business, going to the gym, writing the first chapter, fixing the habit, your brain begins releasing dopamine. Not when you do the thing, when you imagine it. Dopamine is not a reward chemical. That's a common misconception. Dopamine is an anticipation chemical. It fires in response to the expectation of reward, not the reward itself. So, when you're lying in bed at 11 p.m. planning your new routine, your brain is already giving you a neurological payoff. It feels like motivation. It feels like momentum. But what it actually is your brain completing the emotional experience of the goal before you've done any of the work. Researchers call this mental simulation. When the simulation is vivid enough, detailed enough, emotionally satisfying enough, the brain begins to treat the imagined experience as partially real. The gap between where you are and where you want to be, the gap that should be creating productive tension, begins to close. Not because you moved, but because your mind rehearsed the version of you that already did. By the time morning arrives, the drive has been quietly spent, not because you're lazy, because your brain already collected its reward. Why it gets worse with time. Here's where this becomes more than just a motivation problem. Every time this cycle completes the night vision, the morning absence, the quiet failure to begin, your brain is learning something. It's learning that the planning phase is where the payoff lives, and that execution is where discomfort starts. Over months and years, this pattern rewires itself into an identity. You start to see yourself as someone who has ideas but doesn't follow through. You start to interpret the absence of motivation as a character flaw rather than a neurological habit. You begin to believe that other people have something you don't: discipline, willpower, a different kind of drive. They don't. What they have is a different relationship to the discomfort that comes right after beginning. That discomfort is not a signal that something is wrong. It is the gap between the imagined version and the real version, and it is completely normal. But if no one ever tells you that, you interpret it as failure, and you stop. The moment most people quit. There is a specific point in any new behavior where the motivation gap is widest. It's not at the beginning. The beginning has novelty. It's not in the middle. The middle has some momentum. It's in the first 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes of any real effort is where the imagination ends and reality begins. The task is less clear than you pictured. The energy required is higher than you expected. The environment is less cooperative than the version in your head. This is not failure. This is friction, and friction is a feature of real work, not a sign you chose the wrong thing. Most people interpret this friction as a signal to stop. What high-functioning people have learned, not through motivation, but through repetition, is to continue through those 5 minutes without reevaluating the entire decision. They don't feel more motivated than you. They've simply practiced not stopping at the friction point. What clarity looks like. Clarity here does not mean feeling motivated before you start. Clarity means understanding that the feeling you're waiting for is not coming first. It comes after. Sometimes it doesn't come at all, and the work still gets done. practical reality. Stop designing your nights for inspiration and start designing your mornings for action with as little decision space as possible. The person who lays out their gym clothes the night before is not more disciplined. They removed a decision from the friction zone. That's engineering, not willpower. Stop narrating your goals to other people. Every time you explain your plan out loud and receive acknowledgement, your brain registers partial completion. The social reward quietly reduces your drive to execute. Keep the plan internal. Let the result speak. And, most importantly, reframe what beginning is supposed to feel like. It's not supposed to feel like the night before. The night before is the dream. The morning is the work. And work has a different texture than dreams. That's not a problem. That's the point. The motivation you felt last night was real. The absence of it this morning was also real. Neither one defines whether you move. The moment you stop waiting for the feeling and start treating action as a separate decision from emotion, the cycle breaks. Not dramatically, not all at once, but it breaks.